parties bid to stay proceedings?
We are still soldiering on. Even though this has been dismissed, we still have some applications at the Supreme Court and we'll pursue it. But it hasn't come to us as a surprise.
Lands Ministry Chief Director denies allegations of involvement with land gas at Park City.
I can't imagine me saying that government uses land guards, to reclaim land. That cannot be possible.
Chief Director, who is a land guard?
I don't know.
And later on, CNR Extra Road collapse at Botiano, forcing residents to leave the area as deep gully hampers access.
2013, no, we started here. But the last year, no, I'm finished easy. Because my master and wife no call a presidency woman. Master no easy. You do that's why your first week with your crown. I did you know so never.
Once again, you're welcome to CNR Extra here on NCT TV. You can join us with your thoughts, submissions, and comments via WhatsApp line 0204447033. We're also streaming live on YouTube. You can join us there on CityTube. Jude Mensa-Duncan, you're welcome to the show. How are you doing, my brother?
Thank you so much, Philip. It's always a pleasure to be here to go through the stories.
The stories, yeah. So let's bring the very first story. And the Supreme Court has dismissed an application to injunct consideration of LGBTQI+ bill.
The Supreme Court has dismissed an application seeking to injunct the Speaker from continuing with the consideration of the LGBTQ bill. Now, this follows an application to the Supreme Court seeking to declare that the ongoing consideration of the bill is a breach of Article 108 of the 1992 Constitution. The article of the Constitution stipulates that no bill or motion shall be considered by Parliament if, in the opinion of the one presiding, the bill is to impose taxation, impose a charge on the consolidated fund or other public funds unless it is introduced by the President. It is the contention of the applicant that a bill considered in its entirety will impose a charge on the consolidated fund and offend the 1992 Constitution as it is a private member's bill. He thus applied to the High Court to injunct Parliament from further considering the bill until a final determination is made. The 9-member panel, presided over by Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono, however, dismissed the injunction application. One of the persons opposed to the bill, Professor Techua Menu, spoke to the media after court proceedings.
This was always going to be difficult. This is a case of first impression. The courts are usually quite reluctant to interfere in another branch of Parliament. So we're disappointed, but this is not the end of it.
What will be your other options? Because now Parliament has done the second reading.
Yeah, they haven't considered the bill. There is also a substantive matter that we have filed before the Supreme Court. So we'll be waiting for that case to be listed.
I mean, for those who may not be familiar with the key issues you are raising, what exactly is your concern about this particular bill?
Oh, I'm surprised you're asking me. We've made our concerns several times. So we have a substantive. The bill has not been passed. So today, all these issues were procedural. It was about the manner in which it was being done. But there are substantive issues about the content of the bill, and we'll get to that later.
So the court has dismissed that application there. In a unanimous decision, and that is yesterday, the 9-member panel of the Apex Courts, presided over by Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono, held that the applicant failed to convince the court to grant the injunction. Reading the decision of the court, Justice Tokono held that the court was not convinced to put an injunction on an uncompleted work of Parliament, especially when the substantive case challenging the bill would address the issues raised by the applicant.
I mean, Philip, if you listen to the reasons the applicant, that's Dr. Amanda Odoye, went to the Supreme Court seeking to injunct the consideration of the bill on the floor of Parliament, among other reasons, was that Ghana was going to be in a position where foreign aid and other forms of financial support will be cut short to the country. Among other reasons, they also make the argument that if you look at Article 108 of the Constitution, which talks about pushing forward a bill of this sort, I mean, in a case where it informs some amount of money being taken from the consolidated fund or even taxation, then, I mean, we have to have a real look at it. So these were the arguments the applicants were pushing. And from what we heard from the Chief Justice, Madam her Lordship Gertrude Tokonu, clearly, I mean, her argument clearly to the point that it's still work in progress in Parliament, right? But you can also understand why one arm of government would not want to be seen interfering in another arm of government's work. Get it? So, I mean, to be honest, it wasn't very surprising, the decision from the Supreme Court. It will be quite interesting what the pro-LGBT community would make of this and their next line of action, especially considering the fact that they so do not want this bill to be passed. So I think it's going to be quite interesting the coming days how this will be playing out.
How this one will unfold. And let's still remain in court because the Court of Appeal has rejected Judge Ikwesin's bid to stay proceedings.
The Court of Appeal has, in a unanimous decision, dismissed an application by Ascent North MP James Judge Ikwesin to stay proceedings at the High Court. His lawyers filed the application after the High Court dismissed a similar application on June 11. There is more in the following report.
The stay of proceedings application was aimed at getting the court to halt the trial pending the final determination of an appeal on the decision of the court to hear the matter on day-to-day basis. At the Court of Appeal on Wednesday, Judge Chikata argued that proceedings at the court below have been tainted by events that affects the fair trial of the case. Judge Chikata noted that the decision of the High Court to dismiss an application for further disclosures by the state amounted to a breach of his client's right to fair trial. He contended further that some alleged prejudicial comments made by the President, Attorney General, and some ministers shows a predetermined agenda to see his client in jail. But Attorney General Godfrey Awadam, in opposing the application, referred to it as unmeritorious. In his view, the alleged prejudicial comments did not have any effect on the decision of the High Court, as those attributed to the President and other ministers were made after the decision of the court. He rather accused Judge Ikwesin of using the application as a ploy to avoid trial. According to him, the allegations of a predetermined agenda to jail the accused by his lawyers points to a strategy to avoid trial. As per those allegations, the NDC legislator seeks to avoid trial. He urged the court to dismiss the application, as no exceptional circumstances have been proved to warrant a stay of proceedings. The three-member panel, after considering the application, dismissed it. According to the court, no exceptional circumstances were raised to warrant a stay of proceedings, and the alleged prejudicial comments are extrajudicial, which did not have any impact on the decision of the trial judge. The judges also ruled that the decision to hold the trial on day-to-day basis does not in any way affect Judge Ikwesin's right to fair trial. NDC's head of legal affairs, Abraham Amaleba, who spoke to the media, expressed the disappointment of the legal team.
We are still soldiering on. Even though this has been dismissed, we still have some applications at the Supreme Court and we'll pursue it. But it hasn't come to us as a surprise. How, in God's name, can the statements made by the president not weigh on a judge who is appointed by that same president? How, in God's name, can comments from the judge, from the president, not have an effect on a judge who was appointed by the president? So, I'm saying that I'm not surprised.
Meanwhile, the cross-examination of the first witness of the state in the perjury trial against James Judge Ikwesin continued. His lead counsel, Chachi Chikata, questioned the witness whose complaint to the police resulted in the instant trial. On his statements to the police, Mr. Chikata inquired about some documents that the witness claimed to have attached to the police statement but was not disclosed to them by prosecution. The witness, however, explained that he attached the documents to the petition submitted to the police even though he stated on his police statement that the documents were attached. The Attorney General clarified that the documents were attached to the petition and not to the police statement. Chachi Chikata therefore made an application for the Attorney General to make further disclosures of the said documents attached, or the police be made to issue a certification on whether the documents were attached to the police statement. The application was, however, dismissed. The case has been adjourned to July 26, 2023. Abraham Amaliba spoke to the media after proceedings at the High Court.
We have filed for an interpretation. That's an interpretative issue at the Supreme Court on Article 19 of the Constitution, which has to do with fair trial. And you know, all this brouhaha is about whether the accused person would have fair trial. And so we want the Supreme Court to interpret Article 19. What does fair trial mean? Does it mean the accused person must be coming to court every day? Is that what fair trial means?
So as things stand now, the case will be heard on a day-to-day basis, though the judge has stated that, or the judges also ruled that the decision to hold the trial on a day-to-day basis does not in any way affect Judge Ikwesin's right to a fair trial. The legal team of Judge Ikwesin wasn't excited with what happened in court yesterday, and we don't know the way forward with this particular issue, but it looks like it's building the minority in parliament, which will come on shortly. Yeah. It's also building momentum to still boycott parliamentary activities.
Philip, the contention in this is whether or not Honorable Judge Ikwesin would have a fair trial with the ongoing proceedings in court. And it is quite interesting how this have panned out. If you listen to lawyers of Mr. Judge Ikwesin, that's the Venerable Chachu Chikata. I mean, he made the argument that, I mean, if you listen to certain comments from no other person than the president, I mean, it puts into jeopardy whether or not they are going to have a fair trial for Judge Ikwesin. And to an extent, they believe that, I mean, the president likening the case of Adamu Sakande to Judge Ikwesin, considering the fact that the president also appoints these judges, is going to, in a way, taint whether or not they get a fair trial. And that is the argument they've been putting forward. I mean, the Attorney General, on the other hand, has also been arguing that, I mean, some of the decisions of the court were reached before some of these comments were made. But, I mean, in any way, right, we've had cause to say that some comments that appear to be prejudicial has not been in the best interest of this case, right? And we also believe that the minority's continuous boycott of it also does not put our democracy in proper light. So, I mean, it's been interesting. My only comment is that it would go through the process and it will be such that at the end of the day, we have a case that's devoid of political, I mean, influences, right? So it's going to be interesting how this plays out. But
well, the judges, like I stated earlier, they have stated that this will not in any way affect.
But you listen to Mr. Amaliba. You listen to Mr. Amaliba, and he makes a point that, see, and the legal team of the NDC find us very prejudicial in the case, right? Saying that he's going to be jailed and all of that because there was similar, or there's a precedent to it. You get it? So it's in a way, and he goes on to say that, see, the person making these arguments is the same person who literally appoints these judges, and so
let's see how this turns out. Let's go to Parliament, and the minority in Parliament, they are still boycotting parliamentary activities or duties to, say, solidarize with their member of parliament in court, that is Judge Ikwesin.
However, in Parliament, the minority has warned the majority caucus not to expect cooperation from the group following the prosecution of the MP for Asin North, James Jachikwason, on a daily basis. In an interaction with journalists in the House, the minority leader, Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen, said the ruling of the court to try James Jachikwason daily undermines the constitutional provision which stipulates that a member of parliament shall not absent himself or herself for more than 15 sittings. City News' Ni Ayekwinokain reports.
The Court of Appeal on Wednesday quashed an application by the legal team of the Asin North MP James Jachikwason, which sought to appeal the High Court's ruling to trial the MP on a daily basis. Reacting to this ruling by the court, the minority in Parliament says it will be difficult to cooperate with the majority for business activities to take place in the chamber due to what they describe as the persecution of their members.
Since they have escalated the persecution of our colleague Honorable Kwesi, they should announce the strategy going forward. But all what we can assure you is that all options are on the table on a daily basis, and they should not expect cooperation from us. I won't go into the details, but let them be assured that amid persecution, cooperation will suffer. Nothing more, nothing less. And that is the position of the NDC minority. We are not going to compromise on that. They should come to the floor and do their business. Now, the action of the Attorney General and the courts is virtually undermining the spirit of the constitutional provision that says that a member of parliament must be in parliament must not absent himself for more than 15 days. Do you know that the court asking him to absent himself for to be in court every day means that he will not be in parliament maybe for more than 15 days. So this is nothing but persecution. On the basis of that, we are saying we are not cooperating.
Ever since the minority started abandoning business activities, MP James Jachikwason, the House has not been able to conduct any meaningful business because it often lacked the required numbers of 92 to conduct business in the chamber, thereby forcing the presiding speaker to adjourn sittings.
The House to commence and proceed with ordinary business of the day, there must be in attendance at least 1/3 of the members of parliament apart from the person presiding. Mr. Speaker, that is the commencement quorum. Commencement quorum, you need 92.
Hold on, let me.
Mr. Speaker,
hold on.
Mr. Speaker, I am not yielding.
Honorable member, I'm saying hold on, sir, you are not yielding. If you've been following the media houses over the weekend, all is on parliament. The fact that we don't get the number. So, honorable members, I think today will be the last day that we will raise this. I'm urging you to do more. On that note, I'm bringing proceedings to a close and adjourn the House to tomorrow 10 o'clock in the forenoon.
Speaking on the floor of Parliament, the Minority Chief Whip Gavins Agboja says, although the Minority Caucus abandons Parliament during days that their colleagues are being tried, the majority with their numbers could conduct business.
You know that at your back, many colleagues are currently out there campaigning. In fact, one person who is a key person to solve our problem today is Dr. Baumia, our Vice President of the country. He's not at the office as we speak. He's campaigning somewhere. What has the absence of minority members who actually said we were not coming to work yesterday got to do with the reason why your members could not be up to the number that form quorum? So the problem is yourselves. If you produce your 138 members tomorrow morning, we shall provide our 137 members tomorrow morning.
They are supposed to behave as representatives of their constituents. So if you tell me we should marshal our numbers as if the House is one-sided and the House is just minded to do only government business. No, we don't do only government business. Today, if you listen to what happened, what did we do? What private business? Statements that were delivered, they are all basically private business. We shouldn't accept that argument. It's a flawed and weak position to say that marshal your numbers. This is a house of the Republic, Parliament of the Republic, and it is made up of two sides. They should tell us why they are not participating in the public business. These are the questions you should be asking them. Why would they go for committee meetings and yet will not come to the chamber? Why would they come and take tea and sign and then they just withdraw? It's a crude tactics just to frustrate government business. But for me, we are very disappointed. We are extremely disappointed. They came in their numbers, and then when we had to prosecute the business of the House, they withdrew from the chamber. That is most unfortunate. And that is not how representatives of the people are supposed to behave.
In an interaction with journalists, the Member of Parliament for Doma East, Paul Chumberima, appealed to the leadership on both sides of the House to take action in resolving the concern.
I strongly believe that the leaders must sit, and we cannot continue on like this. That we will go to court, we will not come, we will raise quorum. Who are you hurting? If the country broke or country not broke, we all day inside. So I think we must take different approach to all this. I will appeal to the minority that if there is anything that they think they are doing to hurt the government, I'm sorry, it's hurting their own constituent. Because if they take decisions that will affect every member of this country, their constituents are part of this country. So I will appeal to them that I think it's about time that we look at this thing holistically. The leadership have to sit. I think Parliament leaders have to sit and look at how we can address this issue. But this part, no, will not help us. I don't think it's something that we need to continue on that side.
Speaking to journalists, the Member of Parliament for Afram Plains North, Betty Nana Efua Crosby Mensah, condemned the activities of a US-based anti-human trafficking organization, International Justice Mission, in her constituency.
I did a number of statements concerning the rates with which anytime NGOs felt that they needed children or they needed victims to parade in their various organizations, they rushed to the Volta Lake and rescue children from my constituency. And so again, it didn't come to me as a surprise when the BBC did their thorough work, and in the end, it came to the limelight. Institution who were trying so much to meet their annual target, and so it didn't really matter whether indeed these children were actual victims or they were not. And so with me, I don't think the objective of rescuing, because of course when it comes to issues of trafficking, there are serious subjects and serious matters that need to be addressed. However, I feel that their mode of operating or the way of going about their business is not one of the best, and I feel we should regulate their activities and see how best we can protect the ordinary Ghanaian child, as well as making sure that real
and it's obvious the conversation on the minorities boycott will not end anytime soon, because the minority maintains the stance that we will boycott, and we've served notice that anytime Jachikwe Singh, Kisla Tufo Singh, and other members who are being prosecuted will be at court, certainly we will follow them. Yeah. The majority, on the other hand, is saying that let's talk about this. You need to come back to Parliament because this is affecting parliamentary duties. The NDC, Sami Jefi, National Communications Officer, was interviewed on Eyewitness News yesterday, and he says that the party, that is the NDC, is backing the minorities' stance in whatever they do when it comes to the boycotting. A senior member of the NPP, Kwame Pienin, has also stated that, well, the minority, should they boycott a number of times, that means they should not be paid. Jude, what do you make of all this? What do you think can be done to resolve this issue amicably? I'm not asking for your solution.
I know. I don't even think I have a solution to it, right? I'm just more interested in laying out what the facts of the matter is. And I mean, it's quite clear that the minorities' argument stem from Article 19 of the Constitution. And I mean, clearly it's talking about the fact that they do not feel that they would have a fair trial with these 3 MPs who are being, in their words, persecuted by this government. So they talk about Collins Dowda, I think MP for Situfi. They talk about Keselato Force, who is minority leader, and very recently James Jachikwesin. They feel this is a clear case of political witch hunting. The arguments by Honorable Keselato Force appears quite interesting, right? When the court or when the Attorney General pushes for him to be present in Parliament, in the courts every single time the case is being heard. And he is saying that if that is to continue, it means that Honorable Jachikwesin would now have to miss Parliament for about 15 sitting days, 15 consecutive sitting days, for which reason is grounds for an MP to lose the seat. But I believe that comes with a caveat, with the caveat being that you'd have to have written to the member, the Speaker of Parliament's office, seeking that kind of permission to do so. So it's the arguments, I mean, for me, don't appear nuanced, right? Everybody is making an argument of convenience, which fuels or which propels the agenda. I mean, I listened to Sami Jemfitu when he says that the leadership, the national leadership of the NDC is fully behind the minority.
What the minorities do.
And you understand why the NDC would also feel same, because they believe that it's a closed parliament. Every single member now counts, right? And mind you, you have less than 2 years to an election. And this is the time where they believe they have to scrutinize every single thing that comes to the House. So it's quite interesting. My only concern has got to do with the principle behind the minorities' decision to boycott Parliament, because we understand from a reporter on the ground that even though they are absent on the floor, they still appear in some committee meetings and all of that.
This is the 4th boycott, right?
Yeah,
yes,
the 4th boycott. So it's interesting how this is playing, but it is coming from the minority. Basically, is saying that they don't see a fair trial for all of their 3 who are going through or who are being in their of justice delivery. So it's quite interesting. But I mean, in all of it, it doesn't take away from the fact that the continuous boycott by the minority is taken away from the practice of democracy in the country, right? Because we need our parliament now more than ever to be on the floor, making proper laws for us and pushing the interest of the ordinary Ghanaian. So when parliament is being dissolved, not dissolved, but it's being, because of a lack of quorum, it's being adjourned. I think it would have an impact that we don't want or we don't need at this point in time in our country. So I would plead with the minority to reconsider their strategy and how they intend to push for a fair trial in the case of their 3 MPs who are before the courts.
Well, let's see how this unfolds. Stakeholders within this space, ISAPA has also called that some form of engagement needs to be done between the leadership of the minority and the majority side. The minority has to, consider a stance. The majority is also asking that the minority should come to Parliament so that they continue activities and all that. But let's see how this unfolds. You're still watching CNR Extra here on City TV. Still to come. Lands Ministry Chief Director denies allegations of involvement with the land guards at Park City. Kindly stay with us. We'll be back with more stories.
St. John's School is 70 years. Hooray! The headmaster, board of governors, the management, staff, PTA, all saints, and students are calling on all to join in the celebration of the 70th anniversary. Theme: 70 years of impactful Catholic training on the boy child, the St. John's experience. The celebration is starting from 17th to 23rd July 2023. Program highlight: Monday 17th July, anniversary lecture. Tuesday 18th July, cleaning and tree planting outside the school. Wednesday 19th July, exhibition by students and a memorial service. Thursday 20th July, float through the principal street of Sekondi Takrady. Friday 21st July, games with All Saints. Saturday 22nd July, anniversary Grand Debra. Sunday 23rd July, anniversary Thanksgiving Mass at the school premises. Guest speaker, All Saints 1980 Dr. Charles E. Owuba. Special guest of honor, Dr. Justice Samo, Justmore Construction Limited. Chairman, All Saints 1977 Dr. Kwesi Enyan. St. John's School, the best. St. John's School, preparing the way.
You're welcome back. This is CNR Extra here on City TV. My name is Philip Nilati. I'm here with Jude Mensa Duncan. Let's bring you some more stories. And the Chief Director at the Lands Ministry has denied allegation of involvement with land guards at Park Sitting.
The Chief Director of the Lands Ministry has denied reports that he revealed to a parliamentary committee that some state agencies, including the Lands Ministry, engage the services of land guards to reclaim and protect state lands. Professor Patrick Agbesingyale spoke at a Public Accounts Committee sitting on Wednesday. There is more in this report.
During the committee's examination of the Auditor General's report for 2020, that the ministry and some state agencies employ the services of land guards to reclaim and protect state lands.
He said the news out there is that you said something. You're saying that you haven't said it. What did you say that they misinterpreted?
What exactly I said was that the ministry since 2012 had contracted a company called Anyok Holdings, and this company actually is engaged in reclaiming land for government. So I think the ministry or the Lands Commission actually reserve the right to use all kinds of agencies.
Are you saying that they can use land guards, all sorts of? That's what you're saying. Are you saying that they can use land guards?
I said agencies. Land guard, I think land guard, Raja, unfortunately, is a terminology that all of us want to, don't want to be associated with. I think we know what land guards are. They are illegal entities, ragtag illegal entities that operate and involved in all kinds of criminal activities. I can't imagine me saying that government uses land guards, to reclaim land. That cannot be possible.
Chief Director, who is a land guard?
I don't know. With the deepest respect, Mr. Chairman, I don't know what the
You are using land guard. We all know land guard. So I'm asking you, define land guard. So let me find out this way.
Yes.
Is there a parcel of land and you use an agency to guard that land? Is that agency not land guard?
Registered land guard.
You are using an agency to protect the land. Is that agency not guarding the land, so become a land guard?
The chairman it amounts to saying that the police who give us security in reclaiming and protecting government land could be referred to as a land guard.
Yes, of course.
And
once they are guarding the land, they are land guard.
we don't.
The difference here is that these are people are lawfully given power to do that. Those illegal ones are the ones you are referring to. So anybody guarding land is a land guard. But those ones that we are talking about now are the illegal ones.
You know the connotation. The terminology, the nomenclature of land guards, and all of us in Ghana, just like we say Galamsey. Once you mention Galamsey, everybody knows that it's illegal mining. You know, if you mention land guard within the context of Ghana, we all know what it means. So I think that is all we are trying to cure. So we cannot attribute that to our respectable, security agencies. It's unfair. And I personally take a very strong exception to that because I never mentioned this term land guard in my submission to the committee.
Also at the Public Accounts Committee sitting, the College of Physicians and Surgeons, led by its rector, Professor Richard Adanu, admitted to facing difficulties in recovering the substantial debts of 18 million Ghana cedis owed by some medical institutions.
So this amount here accrued at the point where institutions were supposed to pay the fees for doctors who came for the postgraduate training. Now, majority of these institutions are state-owned institutions, Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Konfanochi Teaching Hospital, and other Ghana Health Service facilities who sent the doctors for the training. So, due to the fact there's a national need to produce some postgraduate doctors, we could not stop and say because the institutions haven't paid the fees, these doctors are not going to be trained, because in a sense would be working against national development.
The Legal Aid Commission also appeared before the committee to address questions related to unplanned procurement expenditures, which were found to be in violation of Section 21 of the Public Procurement Act, Act 663. According to the audit report, the management authorized the procurement of goods and services worth over 500,000 cedis in 2018 and almost 200,000 cedis in 2019 without including them in the Commission's procurement plan, including the procurement of local consultancy services.
I am aware, and I consulted the former accountant, who is not too well, so I want to believe that it has to do with their meetings and seminars and public sensitization. That's why they usually classify them as local consultants.
How long have you been at post?
A year and few months. Yes.
Did you pay local consultancy last year?
No, please.
You didn't?
No, please.
What about 2022? You didn't pay anything like that?
No, it's not part of our budget line, so I don't.
Okay.
Furthermore, the Auditor General highlighted discrepancies in the handling of public monies at two locations. According to Regulation 50 of the Public Financial Management Regulations 2019, all public monies collected should be paid in gross into the public funds account, and disbursements should only occur as provided by an enactment. However, two bonded cashiers, one in Bole and another in Sola, in the Upper East region, failed to lodge more than 125,000 cedis and 29,000 cedis in revenue, respectively. The Director of Commercial Operations at NEDCO, Hashim Idrisu, revealed that one of the cashiers had absconded with over 100,000 cedis in revenue.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that person is not within the jurisdiction, so we are working with the security agencies to try and locate him. That has been the difficulty.
And how much is involved here?
His amount is 115,000. It was 119,000, but we recovered 5,000.
The Public Accounts Committee is set to continue its sittings on Thursday, July 20, with representatives from the Communications and Interior Ministries scheduled to.
So, interesting one there, but the focus is on the Chief Director of the Lands Ministry denying allegations that the ministry uses land guards. And I can tell you for a fact, Jude, I wouldn't want to be in that seat of the prof there, because
Professor Patrick.
It was, but you see, the MP for Tamalis North and the ranking member on the Lands and Forestry Commission, Al-Hassan Suhini, who came out to this particular issue, says that the inconsistent response from the ministry is baffling. And I don't know how this issue will be resolved, but I think yesterday was asked on Eyewitness News that is this going to end here? But he stated that, well, there are a lot more answers to be given to many questions.
I mean, Philip, so he's a professor, right? And I mean, in very good standing. So it's interesting how this has played out. But I'm of the view quite strongly that if he's speaking to members of parliament or at the committee level, he will be able to speak very freely and openly than he would when all cameras are on him at a public accounts committee hearing. And you could clearly tell that he appeared quite uneasy and very tensed in that particular hearing. And Philip, I mean, it was quite interesting when they threw the question, Honorable Abeji threw the question to him and asked him, who is a land guard? and
define who a land guard is.
And he was quite all over the place, right? But I mean, the point is that it's very important that the police, the military, and the ministry has come out to clearly dispel these rumors, because then it would have been very disastrous for us as a country if this thing was actually going on. I mean, go back to Honorable Inusa Hussaini's interview with Sanda, and I mean, you clearly can tell that, I mean, there's some iota in there, right, where to some extent certain people, we are not too sure of their of who they really are engaged in some of these things. So I think it's about time the ministry takes it up serious. Yesterday I was said that it's not enough to just come out and publicly deny these accusations. I think they have to prove to Ghanaians that indeed nothing of this sort is going on.
It's going to happen. Away from this story, let's bring you a story from Botiano, where a road collapse has forced residents living in some part of the community to move away from their home because of a deep gully that land erosion has created. Let's bring you that insert.
Been compelled to move out from a 6-bedroom apartment at Botiano in the Gasalt municipality following the difficulty they go through to access their home. The development is as a result of the washing away of the road in front of the building, leaving a deep gully. City News' Philip Latte visited the community and has filed this report.
What will be your next line of action when you wake up one day just to find out that in front of your house you would have to resort to a ladder before you either get out of that particular house or get back into the abode? Well, this is the situation of some individuals at Botiano in the Gasouth municipality. They have no option than to climb a ladder before they are able to get access to their homes because of the wash-off road in front of their abode. And this has created a deep gully in front of their building. I'll speak to these individuals who stay in this 6-bedroom apartment and find out from them how they are coping with the situation. Dabena we share here.
Already I started 2013. 2013, no, we started, but the last year, no, I'm finished easy because my master and wife no call your presidency woman. Master no easy. A deal that's why your first week with your crown. I did you know so near the call. It's a painful power. What shall I do now? Honor, not painful. I'm so I will see for. When you use a cranty, a bread, they be a impino, no, we be dinner, no, a bashe. Or Basso, no, you so just in nature, Mussomonia. We a road, I can't see for Mancasa. Or you road in a cast film. Or you rode a cast in the film. What's the now with you by no? Cast in a Hannah no mofa. Or you rode a pay dancing so high. Or you rode a taxi na name. Necessary, yes, I know.
In the Siano, we send a motifio.
Sisi ana can pay me no ye wo.
Can na mo yeseng?
Ne ye nipa 6. Ba kon de on ne number 3. Nti nkwala na kan okra na ye 9. Ba sisi ano omu na etu aka nipa me no pe.
So much say 8 and 7 no ko.
7 no ko.
Ono muntu mi fala na ni mo anase.
Oh, because if it's nkwala no, nkwala miensa omu ntumi. Na oba no kwa no okọ no so yem. Nti on ntumi enfu le the way no. Kwala no sususu a ahia ne mbama e betumi ade amanage afo. Na yen so ni bebi akọ, me say the minister me kwa rent dan. Nti o se me manage na me yeden ye. Metina musa yesu edme wo hia. Aha, nti no ama yede so ewo ha no. Aban no omunye road ne mayen. Because we no mu tumi ye road ne mayen na ye hu betumi ato yen. Sisi an eduma mba. First no cars no omunya afa hanti. Omudu ha oh ade ye me fe. No mo abaye. But sisi ano omunya mba. Because kwan na say nti cars ni na mba. Nti ekwan no na yesra no omohwe no munya kwan ne me.
This is a very big situation here, and we need the government to come and do for us, because it's caused a lot of damage here, and you have to climb a ladder before you go to the house, and we don't have electricity too because of the erosion, and we don't have electricity because the pole is here, and now they took it from here to here because of the erosion, and now our wire too not reach here, so we don't have electricity in the house. The time I came here, there was a wood bridge here. But when the last time it rained hard and it took it away, so right now our choice is to use this ladder. Every time when I'm going to sleep, I have to take, if I climb finish, I have to take the ladder, because if I leave it here, someone will come and steal, or if the rain fall, it take it away. So I have to take it inside, and at the morning I have to bring it back. My choice is to stay here, and when we go site or we go any place, I'm thinking about this ladder, because when I'm not here and it is raining, everywhere I go, I have to come and run and get it inside, because if I'm not here and it rain, it will take it away. So my fear is I don't like the rain to rain.
To give us further information on what the Gas South Municipal Assembly is doing about this deep gully behind me, I would engage Engineer Daniel Soa, who is the Municipal Roads Engineer, on this. Hello, sir. You're welcome to the City Newsroom.
Thank you.
What are you doing about this? And first of all, for how long has this been here?
Right, thank you very much for the opportunity. I think that this erosion started way back about 5-6 years ago. Even further that, you realize that there were some traces of erosion that was taking place. But over the time, it has, become what we see now.
Is it a road? Is it a major road?
It's a road.
From where to where?
It's a road that, moves from New Botiano, goes to Polytank. It goes up there, all the way up there. What I can say in short was that this road is on a contract. That is a contractor on it.
So there is a contractor on it and the road is like this?
The contractor is on it.
So where is the contractor?
I want to give you the background. The contractor started when you were coming. You drove on an asphalt road.
Yes,
he did all that road up to a point, and the contractor, got missing. Yeah,
Why?
We have written letters to him to come back and continue the project. He keep giving excuses about financial difficulties. So I think that if when he was working, he had continued to fix the drains, we wouldn't have had whatever we have here now.
What is your final word to residents here? Because they are bearing the brunt.
I just want to, first of all, apologize to them and to say to them that even though they have bear with us for all this while because of some of these challenges, we are going to work at assembly to push to the ministry and to get this problem solved. It is unfortunate, but we plead with them. They've lived with this for some time now, but I can assure them that we will do all we can to get some of these problems solved for them.
Though the Gas South Municipal Assembly has stated that some measures will be implemented or brought on board to address this situation, residents of this 6-bedroom apartment are of the view that that should be done immediately. Reporting for City News, my name is Philip Ni Latte.
And in studio, you are still Philip Ni Latte.
Judy, imagine you climbing a ladder to your house.
I mean, and so it clearly means that you can't be a car owner.
When we got there, the vehicle had to stop, and we had to now trek to the house. You know, the entire area, the Botiano area, where we went, erosion every corner because of. And people are asking why I didn't climb the ladder. Well, I don't want to risk my life. What if I climb and I well, this is serious. And to be frank with you, I think
no, but you should have tried climbing.
No. Aside, I'm doing journalism. I'm not there to risk my life. Government should just fix this thing. Government should just fix this thing. You are watching CNR right here on CCTV. Still to come. High Court in Kumasi adjourns injunction case filed by Akutia Line Wood Sellers Association. Stay with us, we'll be back with that story.
On this week's episode of A Question of Law on City TV, we discover the rights of patients and the responsibilities of healthcare professionals in cases of medical negligence.
There are thousands of people who lose their lives because of medical negligence. It's happening all over the world. And I think that annually in the United States of America, about 250,000 people lose their lives through 250,000. Yes. And the reason we can never find out is because we don't have records.
Yes.
And there are many cases where the persons who are even victims don't go to report that they suffer this condition. Their conditions aggravated because the conduct of health.
Join us this Thursday at 6 p.m. exclusively on City TV.
You're welcome back. Let's bring you some more stories. And the High Court sitting in Kumasi has adjourned an injunction case filed by Akutia Line Wood Sellers Association. Let's bring you that insert.
The High Court sitting in Kumasi has adjourned the injunction case filed by the Akutia Line Wood Sellers Association over their eviction from their workplace to allow for a redevelopment project. The matter is set to be heard on 14th August 2023. However, tensions between the woodworkers, the municipal assembly and the contractors have escalated, resulting in injuries to some individuals. Our Middle Belt Bureau Chief Edward Opomafo reports.
Salamubila, whose husband is a woodworker with over a decade of experience in the area, has been serving as a food vendor to the many people working in the vicinity. She reveals to City News that her husband has been asked to vacate the area and she too was forced to leave her spot. The situation has caused great hardship for the family, especially because proper relocation measures have not been put in place by the authorities.
Ewie no so ya so ngane ya tar baby ya nya nkakrakra ye dine
Adwuma be na moye
ya katuo ya ka de awuo ya de awuo ene ya nyina ahwere
mo shop e wo ha ya
ene nyina e wo ha se ojata no kro wie kro ka kire so won so ma obi so won tena kioso mo sansefo no kro no san kato aso ene ni asem no kro atwa ya so no mu
e de se adwuma be na ye kwa be so na fa didi kwa be so na fa
ya teto Yeah, to her. As a man away, what you must say, dear Nobay. It must say, dear Nobay. Said, ya baby, near Taria, near Yakakra. When you know what to her, yeah, Manyame. Only how do you require? Oh, when you're dinner, and your Jano Bejayamano. The Sierra Yasam Yinasi, Jayamanyam, Yamin, dear Maya. Sanyamitia so kwadia, inshallah.
Now, on man, it is required some factor.
Now, what you must say, Uncola, or Master Tenayade. Tenian penny for the person, young man, a braboni.
So, as we stated here yesterday on this same issue, we're asking that the Assembly finds an amicable solution to this problem, because the Assembly claims that this is a land that they would have to develop, and that the people there are encroachers. But back and forth with it. Now it's at court. The court case has been adjourned, and we see what happens with it.
Philip, fun fact. I'm in trivia, right? It was surprising to know that over 70% of cases, court cases in this country, are actually land-related disputes, right? So, I mean, this story we just saw, I mean, doesn't come to me as a surprise. And it's become a sort of a norm where all the time it's increasingly quite difficult to evict squatters who have taken over.
And I always ask why we'll leave these individuals and when they are at that particular land. I mean, nothing is done about it.
For various reasons, right? There's the problem of negligence. There's the problem of the lack of political will. I mean, you don't in an election year want to go around evicting people from state lands, especially when the government is not ready to properly develop the land. So, I mean, it's quite unfortunate that we allow these things to fester for a period. Then when it's time for action or it's time for a proper utilization of the land, then it becomes a problem. This particular story, when it was discussed or came out in the news, then it brought to the fore again the issues of land guardism in Accra and how the MC had gone to secure the services of allegedly.
Well, the Assembly also came out to say that the people went out there are Assembly task force and not land guards.
So now the task force goes around brutalizing people. I'm not saying they are, but I'm saying that in all of this, we didn't hear of the police, and that was quite disturbing for me. So I think that government should go back again and look at how they are able to resolve this amicably. You could probably find some temporary shelter for them so that they are not out of their livelihoods, right? Because you don't want to, in the quest to develop the area, also take people away from what will put bread on their table. So it's important that government finds a way to mitigate the situation so that it's not a lose-lose
and doesn't escalate. Let's see how this unfolds, and we just hope that the various authorities will hear, and we'll make sure that the traders, the issue is resolved amicably. This is how we end today's edition of CNR Extra here on City TV. My name is Philip Nilati. I did this with Jude Mensah Duncan. Many thanks for your time as always, and keep watching City TV.